taking place here in Randburg, and my colleague on the other side of the window, Naledi Moleo, fellow co-anchor, is there. Naledi, you've listened to a good part of that technical presentation by the Basic Education Department Director General. What are the salient points for you?
Well, good evening to you, Xoli. Look, the reality is that after 12 years of learning for all of these students, and this day, the 13th of January 2025, it really does come down to the numbers, what they were able to achieve. And so this technical briefing really by the DG for the Department of Basic Education, really crunching some of the more technical and I suppose more detailed parts of what the numbers have come down to. But I think this is an important thing for us to reflect on what we hear from the DG. You have in 2013, that's when these learners that we're talking about today would have started their grade 1. And in fact, on that in that particular year, you had 1,222,000 of them entering grade 1. As of 2024, 740,000 of them wrote that final matric exam. The question remains how many of them, of course, have achieved a pass mark, and that's the result that we will get from the Basic Education Minister at 6 o'clock. But a lot of data that we've looked at, if you looked at this class, it certainly is a class that has to face a lot of challenges in grade 8 as they entered the high school system. That, in fact, was in 2020, at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. So not an easy schooling career for these learners. And as part of the data that we heard as well from the Department of Basic Education is that 80% of these matriculants are beneficiaries of SASSA. We're going to be talking a little bit about that, and I'm joined now by Lumka Oliphant from the Department of Social Development to really talk to us about some of the data that they are analysing about this cohort of learners. Lumka, good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time. 80% is a considerable number.
It is a considerable number, and also it shows that the investment that government does, not only just in cash transfers, but the social protection that government has in order to make sure that the poor child gets to finish matric is working. It also tells us that the basic education as a child protection tool is working, and that when we are sharing data between departments and are able to account for the children that we are looking after, especially the children in poor households and those that are looking after themselves, then it tells us that there is something that government is doing well in the protection of children, and the investment that South Africa makes, the Department of Social Development through SASSA, for this particular class, we invested over 58 billion rand for this class in cash transfers, not only in just the cash transfers, but the care part of it. We have children that are in conflict with the law who wrote matric as well, who have been in conflict with the law during their schooling years, and we are able to account for those children, the children that are looking after themselves. So the care and protection of children is also coming out that South Africa is on the right track with the little that we are able to do as government to make sure that poor children get to where they are.
That's incredibly important. I mean, we obviously are having a big debate in the country around how we extend social security for the most vulnerable. The reality is not all of these learners that will be getting their results today, some of them tomorrow, will be able to easily find a job in the future. And there is a discussion around whether or not we introduce a basic income grant. Where are we with that discussion?
That discussion is within government. But most importantly for this class, you remember that when a child reaches 18, the support in terms of cash transfer, in terms of the child support grant, it lapses because you are deemed as an adult. What we are seeing in this class is that there was a small number of pupils whose grant had lapsed during the matric year, but they were able to apply for the 370 social relief of distress grant. So that is also showing us that should we be able to do these things, we are able then to hand over children from one social security program to the next. We are also working with NSFAS, and this particular cohort of children, we are able to tell you that more than 200,000 of them have applied for NSFAS. And because they were receiving a grant, they are not means tested. Therefore, if they pass, they are accepted, and they are able to meet the criteria that is needed on the other side, they will be able to get assistance.
Well, lots to discuss, and of course, perhaps we'll chat after we get those results after 6 o'clock. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Lumka Oliphant of the Department of Social Development. Oli, there's a lot that's happening behind us. You've got many organizations that are here, some of them also to encourage those learners that do not prevail today to really think about what their next step is going to be, and a lot of data crunching. I think one of the things for me that stands out is that of those cohorts that entered the schooling system in 2013, it is 64% of them that make it to matric. But what do those results look like when we get to the results of who's passed, especially when you start to compare it with that 98.4% pass mark for IEB achievers, and then especially the comparison then for 2023. The class of 2023 only making the country very proud, achieving 82.9% as a pass rate, and that being the highest since the dawn of our democracy. Is this the class that beats that record? We'll find out in under an hour, and we'll bring that to you live. Oli?
Fellow anchor Naledi Moleo, thank you very much. Live for us at that particular event hosted by the Basic Education Department, and some great work done by the Social Development Department. We talk about child-headed households, but we never really know who helps, who gives a helping hand, and the Social Development really doing us proud when it comes to that.